chill. As long as you believe, you can never fail. Breathe. Exhale. Let the negative go. To exhale. Believe. Break your mind out of jail. As long as you believe, you can never fail. Breathe. Exhale. Believe.
Hello, 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 my good people. How are you? Welcome to Exhale and Believe. Here you will be able to listen to challenges, processes, and victories from everyday successful people. This is to encourage, inspire, and uplift people through the things that life throws at us, because we get things thrown at us every single day. But here we just want you to get rid of the negative and grasp on and believe that you have the power to rewrite your story. Challenges may make life interesting, but overcoming them is what makes them meaningful. But don't get stuck in the valley. Always look up and put encouraging people around you. If you are watching the replay, welcome and thank you. Also, could you put in the comment section, #replay, and the time that you are viewing? We want to make sure that everyone is able to catch the show. Can someone comment and let me know if you're able to view the show right now? I just want to check my camera and everything. Okay. If you're watching the replay, welcome and thank you. Also, could you put in the comment section #replay and the time you're viewing? We want to make sure that the majority of the people are able to view the show. If you have any questions during the live show for my guests, please feel free to ask them. If we are not able to get your questions live on the show, we will come back and answer them after the fact. Today's segment show is sponsored by Manu Williams of Wycott Realty. Thinking of buying or selling a home in the Northern Virginia area? If so, give Manu Williams a call. With over 15 years of experience, she will guide and support you through the process. Manu always put forth 100% into helping her clients, and her motto is exceptional service every time. You can contact Manu at 571-264-7217, or you can reach her at the email that's listed on the page here. Thank you, Manu, for sponsoring today's show. So today, our guest is Byrd. As an ovarian cancer survivor and having only one ovary, she will share how she beat cancer and is standing strong on the promise of her child that God made to her over 10 years ago. So we're going to bring Dawn on. Give me a second.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me, Val?
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show today.
Hold on. Let me turn my volume up.
Okay.
On?
Yes.
Okay. That was on my end. I got you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So, give just a quick introduction of yourself.
Hi, I'm Byrd. I've been married about 10 years this year in November. As Valerie said, I am a cancer survivor going on 3 years now. And yes, thank you. And it's a huge story going through that and the type of cancer that I had. born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and been a military spouse for the past 10 years. So it's been a lot of trials in the process and a lot of moving, but just getting through cancer and just getting through life and maintaining that positivity is a big thing that I try to do. So today I plan to share my story and pray that somebody gets encouraged by what I've had to go through and what I'm continuing to move forward in.
Amen. Well, again, we appreciate you for being on here.
Thank you.
So, as I was reading over your brief synopsis, you started out with saying that you felt unworthy because your father wasn't around, and this made you question whether you would even get married or not.
Yes, my parents were married, but at the age of 6, my dad left. And I remember him, it was my birthday. He handed me a watch. He said, "Happy birthday." In about 5 minutes, he attempted to teach me how to use it. And then he let me know that he had to go and he wouldn't know when he would be back. From that point on, for quite some years, he would pop in. And the interesting thing was he would always pop in around my birthday, but never even realize that that's what it was.
Wow.
And then I went on and, during the teenage years, you start to feel as if your own dad left you, then who else is going to be there? So I went through years of just bouncing from relationship to relationship, and you don't even realize that you can't be by yourself. And it got to the point where I didn't want children to have to go through what I went through. So I really got to a point in life where I started to wonder, will I ever have kids? If my dad wasn't there, who else is going to be there? And not wanting children to go through that, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'll be 65 with cats. These relationships aren't working out for me. And you just get tired of being tired, and you don't understand because most of my friends had their parents. So nobody really could relate. My mom had her parents. My dad had his parents. So nobody really understood what that was. I just knew my kids weren't going to go through that.
Okay. However, the Lord came in and overrode that vision
Yeah.
of you being 65 with the cats.
Yes.
And he showed you a husband, not only a husband, but also a child.
Yeah. So I just remember one day just feeling like this is not working. I'm done. And I said, "Lord, I'm going to be 65 with cats." And I closed my eyes. And in that brief moment, he gave me a vision. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. I had this long, thick hair. My complexion was clear. And I had this huge baby bump. I even remember I had on a royal blue outfit. And in that moment, I felt like God was telling me, I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you've gone through. There's something that I want for you. I was thinking about it a couple of days ago, and a lot of times when we're not living right and not doing right, we think that God is out to get us. And I felt like in that moment, God said, "I have a gift for you. And it doesn't matter what's come in your past. It doesn't matter who left you. This I'm giving to you." And when I looked at how happy I was, I realized this must be a right relationship, because I wouldn't be happy just having any old person as a baby father. I wouldn't be happy being a baby mama. So it changed my perspective, and it actually even changed the type of people I started dating. I started thinking there's a child that is coming, and I don't want this child to be with just anybody. So it just completely changed what I did, how I did it, who I dated, and who I let into my life. Because I realized if God is for me and he wants something for me, why settle for just anything?
Okay, that's good. So let's fast forward to when you found out, when you got your diagnosis. I know that you and I were diagnosed around the same time in 2015.
Yes.
And we shared parts of our story with each other, but I don't know your full story. So I was kind of shocked, just like, wow, when I read your bio that you sent in. So let's fast forward to that point when you found out your diagnosis. Well, first, tell us, how did you find out about your diagnosis?
Well, I currently work at Victory Christian Preschool Academy out in Woodbridge, Virginia. And I was part of the summer camp program. So we used to always take the kids out. And I remember we went to King's Dominion and we were on a trip. We were on a ride and kept spinning you and spinning you. And the next day when I went to work, I could barely walk. And they kept telling me that's not normal. You need to go to the hospital. You need to go. I went through the whole day, finally went to the emergency room, and what they told me at the time was it was fibroids. I had an appointment. I went in, they checked me out, and they said, we're going to refer you. So I went to where they told me to refer me, and they said, okay, it's fibroids. At that time, I had been married about 7 years. So the doctor asked me, do you want any children? And I said, yes, I do. And that made her at that point say, you know what, we're not doing the surgery. You'll be fine. We'll just continue as it is. She had me do some further testing. A couple weeks later, she called me and said, I want to do the surgery. I think these fibroids are what are stopping you from having a baby. At this point, I'm believing God. I said, these things are going away on their own. I'm not doing surgery. So I go another couple of months. I'm praying. I'm in school. I'm working. I'm like, God, I know I have to be healthy because I have stuff to do. And I remember I got an internship, and the counselor was Christian. And at the end of that semester, I was trying to do it again, and the doors were slammed. And she said, Dawn, she said, the Lord does not want you to do this right now. And she said, everybody's vouching for you to come back. It's not working. I think that God is slamming this door because he wants you to have the surgery. And I looked, I said, the devil is a liar. I'm not having this surgery. And I tell you, from the next week, for the next 2 months, it went day by day. I wouldn't know if I was able to walk or not. And I finally had to realize, I think I need to have this surgery because I'm not even able to function normally. So I went in, I had the surgery. And the interesting thing is, before I did my surgery, we went on vacation, my dream vacation. We went to Punta Cana, and there I had a dream. And in the dream, the doctor that was doing the surgery called me, and she said, due to something at the hospital, we can't do your surgery today. We have to do your surgery. I think it was like March 25th. So I woke up and I'm on vacation. I'm like, babe, I got this surgery on Monday. What's going on? And he's like, don't worry. God's got you. You have the surgery. The Monday for the surgery comes, we have a snowstorm. So I called the hospital. They're like, no, everything is fine. Kid you not, 10 minutes before we leave, I get a call from the hospital. They say something happened where all their equipment that they have to use to do surgery to make sterile has been compromised. We have to change the date of your surgery. So at this point, they told me not to eat before surgery. So my mom and my husband are like, come on, let's go eat. We're driving to go eat, and I get a phone call from the doctor. And she says, I apologize, we can't do your surgery. I have new dates. She said, I have March the 16th, March the 25th, and another date. I want to get it done as quick as possible. So I say, I'll take the 16th. She comes back and says, the 16th doesn't work. Your surgery is March 25th. At that moment, I paused because that's the exact date that God told me my surgery would be. I go in, have the surgery, and they open me up. And they're thinking that all they're doing is taking out fibroids. They open me up and find an ovary the size of a softball. And at the time, I didn't know the size of an ovary. So my brother comes to visit, and they had told him they had to take out the ovary and everything. So he doesn't know. He's like, so what does it mean to have an ovary removed? And I'm laying there like, what are you talking about? And they're like, shh, we didn't tell her yet. So it comes out that it's the size of a softball. The surgeon had to stop and take pictures twice because she wasn't expecting it. She didn't know what it was, and she forwarded the picture over. After that, they said, we're going to do some testing, and they didn't know what from there, but they had no idea it was cancer because they checked for cancer previously before I went into surgery. 3 weeks later, I get a phone call, and if anybody knows about military doctors and hospitals, you know, you do not get an appointment quick. I don't care what's wrong with you. They tell you come in a month and a half. And she called and she said, I need to see you. Can you come in today, and can you bring someone with you? And I'm thinking, she could have told me this good news over the phone. What is this? So I go, and she's like, as soon as you get here, just tell them you're here and come to the back. Now I'm skipping because I don't even have an appointment. We go, and she sits us down, and she's like, I hate to tell you this because this was a doctor that was all about me having a baby. She said, but your results came in, and what we took out was ovarian cancer. I don't know if anybody's seen that commercial where everything just stops, but I couldn't hear anything. I knew she was talking and my husband was talking because I heard I saw their mouth move, but I couldn't hear anything. And the next thing I heard was my husband next to me. He started laughing. And I'm thinking, is he crazy? Did he not hear what she said? And he just started saying, devil, you playing with the wrong one. You don't know who we
Amen.
are. You can't do anything about it. What God has for us is for us. And he was just so excited and so happy and just so determined that I couldn't even cry. All I could do was look at him and say, you know what? If he's feeling this way, I can. And my doctor leans over to me and she goes, my husband sent me this picture this morning for you. And I look at the picture and it's a surgery. And it's the surgeons operating, but in back of the surgeons are these huge angels. And the angels are in the surgery place. And she said, my husband's not even religious. But he showed me this morning and he told me specifically to show this picture to you. So just being in that process and having people that don't even know me fend for me and have my husband there and just cheering me on, it helped me get through that process, because that was the last thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm having surgery so I can have my babies, not I'm having surgery and you're taking out a part of me that is going to help me to have these babies.
All right. Wow. So I could relate to some of that and everything. But so you got that news. Your husband is already on the faith path, and I know you personally, so I know your faith and everything. After hearing that message,
Mhm.
what steps did you take? Where did your faith go, and how does your faith increase for you to go through that journey and still have the same outlook? Like, I already know what God told me, so what you say
Yes.
don't matter. What did you go through? Who did you surround yourself with? Um, and everything. Real quick, I just want to say, if you're just logging on, thank you for coming on. If you're watching the replay, thank you. If you are getting anything from this, share this video with someone that you think may get something. You know, everybody can pull something from the story, but please share the video so that we could share the awesome wonderfulness of our God. Okay, Don, sorry to cut you off. I had to throw that in
Not
there.
a not a problem. Well, my goddaughter, her mom actually had an ovary removed. So she was able to get pregnant with one ovary. So my first thing was thinking, I know somebody who's done it with just one. Second, throughout the years that we were married, it was so many different things that we went through. And I remember the first time I went to a military doctor, the lady looked at me and she was like, you're so anointed. And at the time I had just come to learn Christ. I didn't even really know what anointed meant. But she looked at me and she said, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. And I went into the doctor. It was really a well woman visit. And I remember the doctor started freaking out. She's like, something's wrong, something's wrong. And then she left. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong? But I'm like, remember with that lady who doesn't even know you told you. She said, God said, you're going to be okay. So throughout these 7 years, I had people that said, no, you're not going to have it. And God continued. He showed me dreams. I had dreams from the time of finding out I was pregnant all the way to going through labor. As a matter of fact, before I even went through the process, God started showing me even more dreams. So what helped me with that was I had a choice to make. It was either believe what God was showing you. And I had to remember when he showed me that first vision, 65 with cats, I wasn't even thinking about having kids. So I had to realize that God wanted something for me, whether I wanted it for myself or not. I tell you, 2 days before my surgery, the dance ministry at our church showed up. And the awesome thing was they came in and they usually have praise and worship on Mondays, but they decided to come to my house instead. So when they came, I was like, oh, you guys are coming to visit. They said, no, we came for you. And Robin, who's actually part of your team, she was there and they danced and danced for me.
She
And
is
I
so
was bent
awesome.
over. She is. I was bent over for days. And after they danced for me, not only was I able to stand up, but I was able to dance too. And one of the girls that was there, she kept ministering over me and she said, don't forget what God told you. Don't forget, don't forget. And she told me about being in the wilderness for a while and God is training you to go through a process. And she just kept saying, don't forget. So the very next day, my husband goes to pick up my mom who wants to be at the church. She wants to be there for the surgery. And I tell him, I said, something's about to happen. He's like, why do you say that? I said, because she kept saying, keep believing. I didn't forget. So I know it can't be that. My husband was out the house for about 10 minutes when I got a phone call from the new surgeon. And remember, I told you about the picture that other doctor showed me. It was on male
Right.
doctors. My first surgery was all female. So when she sent it to me, I had no idea I was going for another surgery. Second surgery ended up being all males. So when he called me, he said, how you doing? Are you ready? I said, I'm ready. And he said, look, in my professional opinion, I think we need to do a hysterectomy. I said, excuse me,
I
say that
remember you
again.
sharing that story with me.
Yes. I said, a hysterectomy? He said, yes, my professional opinion is we want to get it out. And I said, you know what? Do you believe it? I said, no, you know what? It doesn't even matter if you believe in God. I believe in God. And God has shown me for
Amen.
years that I'm having children, and there's no way I can do this with a hysterectomy. So I appreciate your professional opinion, but I have to say no. And I think I threw him
Amen.
off because he stopped for a second. He said, what? I said, I'm sorry, doctor. I understand and I appreciate what you do, but you're not the great physician. So my answer to this is no. And he said, do you want to talk to your husband? I said, no. He'll say exactly the same thing as I just said, but get ready for the surgery tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. You rest up. I'll be there tomorrow. We'll do what we have to do, and we'll see you tomorrow. And I stopped the call. And I remember I called Isabella Pena, and I called, and I was like, the devil wants to stop me from having kids. And we're on the phone. We praised. And I was like, I won't let him stop me. And we just praised and praised over the phone. The next day I go in for the surgery and I'm laid out and I'm all ready. All I need is that good night juice. And the doctor comes back, and this time he has a team of doctors. So imagine laying in a bed. On my left side, I have my mom and my husband. On my right side, I have the doctor. In front of me, I have 3 doctors I've never seen before. And he leans over to me and he goes, so did you think about our conversation yesterday? Are we doing hysterectomy? And I stopped because everybody is just watching me. Nobody knows what to say. They're like, this is your choice. So I look at the doctor and I look over to the side and I put my hand in the air and I say, Lord, do you hear this? Now, mind you, they all think I'm crazy. I'm like, do you hear this? I was like, Lord, I know it's you that wants me to have kids. I said, and I hear what this doctor is saying, but I know you're the great physician. So I'm going to put my life in your hands, Lord. You see him. You see how he's trying to come after me, and I won't have it. I said, so Lord, you do what you have to do while he does what he needs to do for the surgery. And I turned around and I looked at him after that and I said, look, doctor, you're here to do what you need to do, which is make sure this cancer didn't spread anywhere else. I said, regarding these ovaries, that's God's job. I said, so you don't worry about it. I said, now if I go in and it's something so bad that you have to do it, then fine, but I believe God that he's going to make it happen and work it out. I said, but right now you do what you need to do. I'm ready for the surgery. Y'all ready? All right, let's go. And everybody, even my husband, my mom, they didn't know what to do, because it's one thing to be secure over the phone. It's one thing to be secure around friends. I had 4 doctors looking at me trying to see, what am I going to do? So I go through the surgery, and the very next day, the doctor comes in, and he's dressed in regular clothes. He's going on vacation that day, and he comes by, and he goes, I had to see you before I left. And by this point, nobody told me whether it's taken out or not. He sits on the bed, and he goes, you know what? I really had to think. He said, once I take it out, I can't put it back in. But if I leave it there, I can always come back if I need to. And I looked at him, I said, now, there you go, doctor. Now you're thinking outside the box. And he gave me this look, and he just winked at me. And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. This is all God. I said, now you go on your vacation and have fun. And I'm right here. I'll rest up, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And I tell you, that doctor was my doctor for 2 years. And every single time I saw him, his new focus was, we got to get her pregnant. How do we get her pregnant? And I had to tell him, that's not your job either. You don't control whether I get pregnant. You don't control whether or not it comes back or not. I said, that's the great physician. You do what you need to do and heal the parts of me you need to heal, and let God take care of the rest.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
really interesting. And that's just where I get it from.
That is an awesome story. And I remember you sharing with me, well, I remember talking about, not with you per se, but with some of the other dancers when they came to your house to dance, because they, for those of you who don't know, I was on a dance ministry also with Dawn. So, we all talked about it. And when they came back and shared their experience, it was like, oh my gosh, oh wow, just so amazing of how we, how we stick together with one another and support one another, throughout everything. But what I love most about it was something you said here, and I want to read it. It says, that God saw your mess when he sent you the promise. That
Yes.
is so awesome because, we know that God already know our end, and as long as we are following his word, he's going to lead us down that path to what he has, the good he has for us. And I see, that's what you did. You let the doctors know, you are a professional, I understand that, but my God is, like your boss over everybody.
Yes.
And that's who I'm going to believe. So that is just an awesome, awesome story. And you share, and I know that this is going to people are going to be able to pull from this, the encouragement and everything. And this is just so awesome, so awesome of a story to see you sitting here 10 years and 3 years after your diagnosis, and you're still standing strong and you're still believing, and we're believing with you, so, when God allows this to manifest, we're going to have Don and little Byrd back so we can show you that our God is still in the miracle working business.
Yes.
Don, we thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Because some people don't like to share their story. They want to keep things private. I know when I was first diagnosed, that was my first, thing. But, like God spoke to you, God spoke to me. It was like, I need you to share because I need people to know that I'm still in a miracle working business. So, again, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on and sharing such an awesome, awesome story. And you're always welcome back, because I know that there's more, within the
Yes.
story. We have such a small time tonight, but I know that there is a lot more to the story. So maybe you'll come back and we'll do a patiently waiting part two, for the people. So, those of you who are listening, that are here with me live, if you're watching the replay, I want to say thank you for joining us on today's show for Excel and Believe. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for our noonday nugget. And also next week, our show, we're going to have Sabrina Moore. Sabrina Moore, she's the wife of Tony Moore, and they've been married for 19 years. They have one son that has just got a full ride scholarship to Old Dominion. So she's also a cancer survivor. She's also a friend of me and Dawn from church, Victory Christian Ministries International. So she's going to come and share her story. And I just want to say something about Sabrina. Sabrina was diagnosed a couple of years before me. And so the strength that she showed is where I pulled my strength from. She showed me how she helped me on how to walk this journey, seeing her every day in church, after she lost her hair and stuff like that. But, we'll talk about all of that next week. So I just want to say again, thank you for Dawn for helping me encourage and uplift God's people. Everyone who's watching, we want to thank you again. And you all have a blessed and wonderful Sunday. Thank you. Love you all.
Thank you.